Hello and welcome back to the Hayters TV podcast. I'm your host, Rio Rosenberg, and I've been head of women's football coverage over the last year. Now, in just a few weeks' time, I'll be jetting off to the World Cup in Australia and New Zealand, and it's set to be one of the biggest tournaments yet. And today I'm joined in the studio with special guests Helen Hardy and Eiri Pitman from FIFAwwc. First of all, I want you to introduce yourselves and tell me a bit more about FIFAwwc.
Do you want to go first?
No, you can go first. It feels right.
My name is Helen Hardy. I'm the founder and CEO of FIFAwwc. We are the world's first retail platform for women's football only. So shirts, literature, we'll be adding Beth Mead to our website very soon, and various other bits and bobs just associated to the women's game.
Hi guys, I'm Eiri and I joined Team FIFAwwc in February as the women's football social media lead, and I basically cover everything on our socials, lead up the content for whilst we're at the games, and then just assist Helen on whatever project she has coming.
You've had a pretty good few months.
Yeah, each day. I think
within a week of arriving, we were in America for the NWSL,
then Barcelona, then Champions League final.
We're going to Australia with you guys.
And now Australia.
Well, this week we were obviously down at the Lionesses, and I think that's a great way to start this conversation. So obviously, big favourites for the tournament, European champions. However, there'll be a few key absences this summer. One behind me, Beth Mead. So how do you think England will get on this tournament, and how do you think they'll play out in the World Cup? Because obviously they've struggled in the last few games that they have had.
I think if there was someone else in charge, I'd worry a little bit more. But because it's Serena, she just has this way of creating like superstars and like utilising the players she has on hand in like the correct ways. Like we seen it last summer, even though Rachel Daly is a forward for club, she knew that at the time Rachel Daly offered more as a defender, and I think that's something we'll see a lot more in this World Cup than we've seen in the lead up to it. I think Serena has a plan, and I'd like to think that England's got so much talent anyway that she really knows where to put these players, and even like who these players will be playing alongside. Like there's so many different like link ups within the team. It's just whether she picks the right ones on the days that it matters.
I completely agree with you. I think one of the scariest absentees for me, and everyone's going to be quite surprised about this, is Ellen White, who obviously we knew was going to probably be retiring. We probably knew that the Euros was going to be her last tournament, but with, you know, COVID, it was a Euros and a World Cup back-to-back. So I always thought she would stay on. And then, of course, the news came out that she was having a baby. And Ellen White, for me, is a massive miss. Not necessarily because of ability, although she is obviously a fantastic striker. It was what she brought to that first 50, 60 minutes. It's like the diversity between her play and Russo Ella Toone is so... They're so far apart. They often, when those two players came on, and it's no slight on Ella Toone and Alessia Russo, it's like the first 60 minutes they'd had Ellen White to contend with, and now they were adapting their game to Russo and Toone. And I think we've missed that. And I think that was really evident against Portugal, not having that different type of striker that kind of starts the game, drills away at the opposition, and then the young guns come on and sort of sort it out for us.
I think the biggest thing I'm going to miss is her celebration, Ellen White. Isn't it? Everyone's doing it. But just back on that point, because obviously I went to the game, England and Portugal, and we spoke to Lucy Bronze, Jess Carter after the match. But I think it was really evident that obviously Rachel Daly kind of played that role of Ellen White, for example, played for about 70 minutes. Alessia Russo comes on and had a lot of chances but wasn't clinical. Do you think that's going to be so important for England? They have to take their chances and be ruthless in this tournament? Yeah,
completely. And I think that is what Beth Mead and Ellen White bring in abundance in terms of how clinical they are, but how confident they are. And in these big match moments, it's teams like the USA who have, in my opinion, had like the poorest 2 years probably since I was born. The last 2 years they've been so poor. You know, losses against us and Germany in friendlies, but also the games that they've won, 1-0, 2-0, where you're like, against teams like the Republic of Ireland, the USA would have had a field day 5 years ago. But they go into these big tournaments and they always seem to bring it.
They turn up.
They always turn up. And when you feel about England going into this tournament, is England often, and I'm being very like broad here, men's football and women's football, the big tournaments, we often wilt. Euros was the first time that it was like, yeah, we're bringing it in a final and we're bringing it at every single stage of the tournament.
I think there's a lot of pressure on England as well since last year, but Alessia Russo mentioned in one of her post-match interviews after the Portugal game, she said that we can never recreate the Euros, and there's an expectation now that they're just going to basically copy and paste what happened last year. But that was like a home Euros, the final was at Wembley, they were like on fire during the whole tournament, whereas like we mentioned, the squad's changed so much. So like Alessia said it perfectly, like we can't recreate this. It's like the World Cup's going to be a new story, but I think it's a good chance for like players like Lauren James to really show what they can do, and like how they step up to the challenge will be just interesting for us to watch.
I think Lauren James will be one to really watch out. I think she brings something different that we haven't really seen in an England side before. I just think for me personally, she's so composed on the ball. Like when she's dribbling through, no one's going to get to her, isn't it?
I saw someone tweet something about like playing Lauren James as a number 10, and I was like, imagine Lauren James as number 10 with Keira Walsh sitting behind the best, for me, the best central defensive midfielder in the world. Like that is a combination, right? Like those two players sort of combining and working together with the composure of Keira Walsh and the flair of Lauren James. I think it could be beautiful.
I'm also interested to see how players like Keira, Lucy and Georgia play in this tournament compared to last year, because they've moved and they've bought, like the three of them have had like probably one of the best seasons of their careers, but the style of football they've all been playing is very different to what they were playing last year. Like you could see in the Portugal game, like Georgia Stanway was next level. Like she was playing with so much more confidence. So I think this tournament could be Georgia's tournament. I feel like seeing Georgia work with like Lauren James, like you said, would just be so great, especially seeing how far she's come just within club football.
They've all said as well, going to these other clubs has been like adding another string to their bow. Lucy said it in the interview with you, didn't she? When we chatted with her, Lucy Bronze was saying like every club I've gone to has just like added another layer to my level of experience. And Barcelona's like the cream of the crop, best team in the world right now, and the passing, the intelligence, the patience on the ball, like bring that Barcelona energy to Australia,
well, I think
please.
this is the good thing. I think Serena really wants the players to go out and explore and go to other different leagues, because I do think that if you look at Lucy Bronze and Keira Walsh, for example, you could see their style of play has completely shifted this season. Obviously, they've just won the Champions League. So, especially Lucy Bronze, I feel like she's won absolutely everything. So her confidence going into this tournament, and she's going to be one of the most experienced players. Do you think Lucy Bronze in that more experienced role, even more so this year with the likes of Jill Scott and such retiring, how big of a role will she play in this tournament for England and their success?
I think
huge.
I think she's had a lot of influence on the younger players like Lauren James. On the day we had the interview with Lucy, like she did speak about how like this tournament's going to be slightly different, and how like just taking these younger players under her wings like quite important, because when she was younger, like the older players, senior players did the same. So I think it's really nice seeing like the new partnerships form, and seeing how two players who have never played club football together link up like on and off the pitch. I think that's really special.
Yeah, 100%. I think Lucy Bronze was almost fearful of leadership back in the sort of earlier part of her career, or midway through her career really, but like 2017 Euros into the 2019 World Cup, I think she would have shied away from that leadership role. But like so much has changed. Yeah. She's now one of the most senior players. She's since then won the best award, you know. She's
won a lot, hasn't she?
She's won a lot. She's won a fair few Champions Leagues. And I think that coming into this tournament, I think she'll probably relish the opportunity to have that leadership role. You can sense it when you talk to her, I'm sure, with Hayters, when you chat with her, you interview her, her personality has changed so much over the last 4 or 5 years. Like her confidence, her ability to answer questions like to the media, she's so much more like fluent and comfortable in those environments.